Abel, tell me, if everybody else could turn off their videos, and we'll come back on for a panel discussion after, but I want to hear about Abel, which, your talk has such a powerful line, you know what I mean, which was, I didn't think I could be a proper man. Could you just tell us your story for anybody who doesn't know? Just kind of go through the arc.
Sure. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Abel Garcia. I'm a male detransitioner from here in the United States. So I transitioned and detransitioned the state of California. To give a bit about my background and my childhood, my parents came here to the United States illegally. Due to that, they had to work in the fields, and I was mostly raised by my grandparents. Obviously, due to that, I didn't get to spend much time with my father. I've always been a very shy, quiet, and timid kid growing up, and I think all that plus not seeing my father due to work. I didn't have a male role model in my life, and I didn't know how to be a man, and he wasn't there. Overall, I questioned myself, even from a young age, but I didn't really do anything until after I had graduated high school, went into college, and wanted to see if transition was right for me or not. And unfortunately, I was immediately affirmed on my first appointment with a therapist. And a little more context on her: she is a lesbian who worked at the local LGBT center and ran the transgender support group at the same location.
Oh my
Now, I'm
God.
just gonna say that sounds a little. mm, uh, I feel like that's conflict of interest, though.
And when did you first hear about it, about transitioning, and how did you hear about it, and what happened?
I don't remember exactly what year it was. I know it was probably either around late middle school, early high school. I found it on YouTube, and I thought, well, that makes more sense because I've never been a very masculine boy growing up. I was always more shy, quiet, timid, more kind compared to most boys, so it made sense at the time.
And did you go for social transition, or did you go for medical transition?
I did both social and medical transition when I was 19 years old and lived on my own.
And did you find the therapist, what was their feelings around it? Do you think you could have had a different experience therapeutically, I wonder?
Not with that therapist, because when I first told her I think I might be trans, she immediately affirmed me as a transgender woman, saying, yes, I am a trans woman. She had my letter to transition right there and then, and she even told me she did not want to gatekeep me.
And how did it go for you when you transitioned?
Since I was still in the ideology at the time, I guess it went overall well. But then again, not knowing now or then, but now obviously it started the ball to my health negatively being affected, but that took time.
How did it? Could you let us know how it did impact you?
Sure. So now that I've been off hormones for a couple of years and I've detransitioned for a couple of years, um, I have atrophy of my genitals, and for those who don't know what that means, it just means they're very small. Due to that, I have urinary difficulties, and I don't know if I can have kids due to my fertility being in the dark. Unfortunately, I'm losing my eyesight nowadays. I have tremors on half of my body. My back and my arms are starting to hurt, but overall, I don't really know what else. Oh, and memory loss. Why do I always forget that one? That should be important, but memory loss.
Well, it's kind of apt that you'd forget your memory loss.
That's the funny part. I shouldn't remember I'm losing my memory, but I forget that I'm losing my memory when I talk about memory loss.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's extraordinary how hard estrogen and testosterone is on the opposite body. It's really, really hard on the body.
Yeah, I know testosterone is much more stronger on women compared to estrogen on men, because I know when I was on estrogen, they had to prescribe me spironolactone, which is they were using as a to minimize my testosterone.
And you think there's potential effects of detransitioning? I think I heard as well Rachel talk about that too. She had said, "Don't come off too soon. We'll bring other people in now in a minute, but keep going on that one." The impact of detransitioning.
Well, I guess my detransition has gone overall well, but then again, I've detransitioned for much longer than I medically detransitioned longer than I've socially detransitioned. I think by about a year and a half. Um, but overall, everything's going well. Besides the fact that I don't know the potential side effects of my health, and
Yeah.
I definitely need to see a doctor. But like I always say, someone's gonna have to drag me to a doctor, and good luck to whoever job that is.
Well, and honestly, having met so many, and I think you should go to a doctor, but so many doctors, we don't know. It's quite experimental. Did you think anything about, there's quite a lot of people talk about anime and the impact of kind of anime. Did that impact you at all?
Yeah, so I actually watched anime growing up because I was a very lonely kid. So I was mostly watching anime, playing video games. So maybe that had an effect on me, but I really don't know because most of the ones that I watched were action based anime.
What do
I know
you?
there's,
Yeah, keep going.
but I know there back in my day when I was growing up, there was always other types of animes, but I didn't really watch those since I didn't really
Okay.
get interested by those.
And what do you think? Do you think mostly it was the inability for society, your family, the world in general to accept a more feminine man was the most, like the lesbians spoke about earlier? Was that the issue, do you think?
So I'm not really that feminine as a man. I and even as a kid, I wasn't really feminine. It was just more secluded. And I think that's my issue. That I was just a loner and I didn't really have anyone to show me the right path in life. So I was mostly just walking in a dark alley, I guess, without knowing where to go, left, right, up, down.
Yeah.
But I do know society in general don't like very feminine men.
Yeah. What made you come to the conclusion to detransition?
So I detransitioned. So it's kind of a funny story, and it's gonna catch some people off guard. So let me explain a little background. So I would say about a year before, about maybe 6 months to a year, maybe less than a year, I was going to the police academy because I wanted to be a cop. Fast forward a couple months, I eventually failed the academy. This was while I was still a trans woman, and due to me failing, I took a break from the academy. But I was able to get in contact with the agency that I wanted to work with. Got on the radar for the chief of police, and he had me work as a volunteer for his department. So my first thing that what I was supposed to be doing is build a better relationship between the LGBT community and law enforcement, which I went to do. And unfortunately, the trans community did not like my questions, and they accused me of being a cis woman and being everything right wing. Um, and after that, they just got rid of me. They didn't know
No.
it then, and after realizing that I was no longer getting support, affirmation, love bombed, etc., reality just settled in, and I realized I made
You
a mistake.
as a trans woman went to the trans community to talk about building bridges between yourself and the police, the trans and the police, and they said, "Go away, you cis woman."
Yes, and they knew I was a
Fascist.
trans, and they knew I was a trans woman because there was only one. Well, there was maybe two at most three, but the one that I was mostly volunteering with as well is who I went with. So they all knew I was a trans woman. So that's what makes it even funnier.
Wow. Oh my God. It's shocking though, isn't it? And so
It's
that
insane.
led you towards you think that led you towards detransition?
I would say kind of. So when they kicked me out and they stopped supporting me, loving me, love bombing, etc., I was alone, and I really didn't. Besides them, I was a loner. I've always been a loner, so the fact that they left me, I had surgery for breast implants, I think, before that happened, and yeah, it was all so many things put together that I just woke up one day, got slapped in the face by reality, and started asking myself, what am I doing with my life? That no matter what I was gonna do, even if I got the full bottom surgery, got my face worked on, every imaginable surgery, and if the world recognized me as a woman, I would have never been a woman. At most, I would have been a caricature of what I believed a woman was. So.
Oh, Abel. And a couple of people have asked about your eyesight. What is the deal between hormones and eyesight? Do you know about this? I don't know much about it,
I
but I have heard it.
I don't really know, because my eyesight's been overall pretty well, but the last couple of months it's just harder and harder to read now. And I got my eyesight checked, and I was told if I wore glasses, my left eye needs glasses that are rated up to negative 3.0, so that's pretty bad.
Okay. And do you think it's to do with hormones, or might it be just something in your family or something else?
I only have one uncle who's had to wear glasses from a young age, but that's also because he was always on his electronics. Besides that, everyone in my family has good eyesight, minus my grandparents. But then again, that's because they're getting older.
And before we're going to open up a few questions, and then we're going on to Carol. But are you in physical pain? How has the detransition, the medical transition in the first place, impacted your body?
Again, so my spine is now starting to hurt every day. It's not as bad as others. So it's just like a little pain here and there. The one that's the main issue is just uh the tremors on the left half of my body, because I can't really control when it happens, and it's a pain in the butt when it does.
Frightening. I can see why people want you to go to the doctor.
Well, again, good luck to the person whose job is to drag me to the doctor.
Right. Okay. You should go to the doctor.